Hey friends, how's everyone doing today? Hope you're all having an amazing and super productive day so far. Tamie M coming to you from TamieMCoaching.com. And what I want to talk about today is the difference between healthy narcissism and pathological narcissism. What's the difference? This one I touched on a few times recently in other live broadcasts that I've done, and understandably when you're new to these concepts and these subjects, it can be a little confusing. So I want to take a little time to clarify what the difference is between healthy narcissism and pathological narcissism. Hopefully by the time we get to the end of this live today, it'll be really clear. But before we dive into the content, I'll take a quick moment to properly introduce myself. Once again, my name is Tamie M. I am an empowerment coach for women. I help women break free from painful relationship patterns through a proven 8-week process called the Freedom Class. And if you'd like some information on that, you can go to TamieMCoaching.com, TamieMcoaching.com, and all the details are there. But let's jump in. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to say a quick hello. I see we've got some folks hopping on already. Is that Delroy from the UK? How are you? I'm really afraid to touch my screen now. I used to just, go and sort of scroll through, but last week I ended up sideways and I couldn't fix it, and I didn't like that. So I have my trusty little tablet here in my hand, so I can just say a quick hello. Do me a favor, guys. If you're catching the live broadcast live, drop a 1 in the comments. If you're catching the replay, drop me a 2. And if you're new to my live broadcast, let me know you're new and let me know where you're coming in from so I can reach out and say hello. Alrighty, who do we have on here? Missy, welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for hopping on. And that's all I can see at this point. I know there's more people on here, but oh, there we go. Hey, Delroy, how you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining all the way from the UK. And Sabrina, welcome. Nice to see you. Sherelle, and who else do we have? Erica, thanks for hopping on. Nice to see you. So again, guys, do me a favor. Drop me a 1 in the comments if you're catching the live broadcast. A 2 if you are catching the replay. And let's get started. What's the difference between healthy narcissism and pathological narcissism? Narcissism is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but what I observe is, it's very easy to plaster that label on people who are not, showing up the way we want them to, or we expect them to, or we think they might be a little selfish or self-centered or what have you. But often that word's thrown around without a lot of real understanding in terms of what it really means, right? So as I understand it, and I've read countless books, I can't even tell you how many books, as well as I've been going through my own journey of narcissistic abuse recovery since 2005. I'm pretty well versed in this subject. So as I understand it, there is such a thing as healthy narcissism, and then there is pathological narcissism, and there is a whole spectrum and continuum in between. So very quickly and very briefly, how we can sum it up, like very succinctly, is what's the difference between the two? Well, when we're talking about pathological narcissism, people get hurt. When we're talking about pathological narcissism, people get hurt. We've got a thunderstorm breaking out. As soon as I went live, I hit live, the thunder started. So anyway, maybe it'll add a little mood to the live today. But that's the reality. When we're talking about pathological narcissism versus healthy narcissism, with healthy narcissism, no one's getting hurt. No one's getting hurt. So the thing is, when we're 4 years old, it's perfectly normal, perfectly healthy for us to be full-blown narcissists, right? We've got our noses in our navel. The whole world revolves around us. At 4 years old, we are very selfish and self-centered, and the universe is, it all revolves around us. And of course, we are quite emotionally immature. We are childish. We're 4. Perfectly normal. Now, for an individual who is growing up in a home where their emotional, psychological, spiritual, physical, all of their needs are being met predictably, consistently, in a healthy way, what happens for that individual is they grow in healthy narcissism. They grow in a healthy sense of self-love and self-esteem. They develop and grow and evolve emotionally, and they become adults who have a healthy sense of self-esteem. They understand where they end and the other begins. They have boundaries. They love and respect themselves enough that they're not putting up with horrible, abusive, inappropriate behavior from others. They wouldn't even think of it because they have healthy narcissism, a healthy sense of self. Individuals who do not grow up in that type of environment end up becoming either codependent, sometimes severely so, and pathologically narcissistic sometimes. All of these issues result from family of origin trauma, family of origin trauma, family of origin wounding in our formative years. And depending on how severe the losses, the trauma was, an individual can either develop codependency or full-blown pathological narcissism. So again, these items, these issues are never black and white, right? Like I say it all the time. We have to understand there's a spectrum, a continuum, all the way to pathological, malignant narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, right? So it's a full-blown spectrum, but healthy narcissism versus pathological narcissism, I've got some bullet points I want to go through with you here because they might help you really differentiate in terms of what it is that you're dealing with in your life or you have been dealing with in your life. You know, if you've got some really frustrating and difficult people in your life, you're dealing with some really painful relationships, this might help you differentiate a little bit, like, you know, where do they land on the spectrum? You can research this online, guys, and there are plenty of tests that you can do to determine what exactly it is that you're dealing with in your life. I see I've got a whole bunch of more people hopping on here, so guys, do me a favor. If you're catching the live broadcast, drop me a 1. If you're catching the replay, drop me a 2. And if you're new to my live broadcast, let me know you're new and let me know where you're coming in from so I can reach out and say hello. And if you happen to be hopping on late, feel free to go back and watch the replay so you can catch all the goods. So let's continue. What's the difference between healthy and pathological narcissism? Well, when we're talking about pathological narcissism, first of all, people get hurt. Right away, if you are in a painful relationship, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. People get hurt. Pathological narcissism is actually a psychological disorder. It's a psychological disorder. Often it goes undiagnosed because these people, by virtue of the nature of the psychological disorder, they're too busy projecting and making it all about you and manipulating. They're not... They are beyond having the ability to be self-reflective and go get help for themselves. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So it is a psychological disorder that unfortunately often goes undiagnosed, and really, you know, the likelihood of treatment is like slim to none. It's quite literally pathological unconsciousness. It's what it is. If you got a destructive narcissist, a pathological narcissist, a malignant narcissist in your life, you are dealing with pathological unconsciousness. That's what it is. That's fundamentally what it boils down to. They are selfish and self-centered in the extreme. Selfish and self-centered to the extreme. To the extreme. Pathological narcissists focus only on their needs while ignoring, diminishing, or marginalizing everyone else's, including yours, right? Your needs, your wants, your desires are insignificant, completely insignificant, completely irrelevant. They are emotionally immature and undeveloped. They might, you know, project a good persona. They've been putting on the act for quite a long time, but you don't have to get too close. You don't have to piss them off too many times to find out just how emotionally childish, emotionally immature, emotionally wounded, emotionally childish, emotionally immature, and underdeveloped they actually are. They exploit, they manipulate, they lie, they gaslight, which, in case you don't know, what that means is they cause you to doubt your reality. Like, you're pretty sure they said a thing, you're pretty sure they did a thing, but they will, in spite of the fact that you've got proof in your hands, cold hard facts, cold hard proof, they will say whatever it takes, no matter how untrue, cruel, or bizarre, to get their point across, to get their own way. They are grandiose. They are grandiose. They have an overinflated sense of entitlement. They are entitled. Your life, your belongings, your home, your money, your everything, no boundaries. They are entitled to all of that. My guy and I are dealing with someone right now who has the most unbelievable sense of entitlement. Unbelievable. I don't have to spend any time with this person to know what it is that he is dealing with. Full blown, no question. Just by virtue, I mean, there's all kinds of other signs, but just by virtue of the overinflated sense of entitlement, it is astounding to observe someone who is a full-blown adult in their early 50s feel so insanely entitled. One of the ways that they abuse. They have a false sense of superiority. It's a they come off as being very superior, but it's a false sense of superiority. Deep down, underneath it all, it's a whole other story. Don't kid yourself. It's a whole other story. Anyone who has to work that hard to prove to you, anyone else, the world, how superior they are, trust me, it's overcompensation. They are contemptuous without cause. Contemptuous without cause. Ever meet anyone like that? Just pure contempt with zero provocation? They are very easily slighted and offended. Very easily. It takes nothing to hurt their fragile egos. They are extremely envious of others. Extremely envious of others, and they lack empathy, they lack conscience. In brief, in short, that's a little snapshot of what pathological narcissism looks like. Now, what does healthy narcissism look like? What does healthy narcissism look like? Healthy narcissists, people who have healthy narcissism, they have developed emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, in healthy ways from childhood onwards. They have a healthy and appropriate level of self-esteem. A healthy and appropriate level of self-esteem. They're not looking down their noses at everybody, and they're not walking around feeling less than, outwardly or inwardly. They have appropriate levels of self-esteem. They feel good about themselves, unapologetically. They don't have to apologize for feeling good about themselves. They feel good about themselves to their core, unapologetically. They take pride in themselves and their accomplishments. They don't need to go through life as a victim or a martyr and a poor me, and they don't need to, play these bullshit games. They take pride in themselves and their accomplishments unapologetically. Unapologetically. They neither suffer from false pride or false humility. People with healthy narcissism do not suffer from false pride or false humility. They don't need to be superior, better than, arrogant, grandiose to overcompensate for what's really going on under the surface, nor do they need to play the flip side of that coin, which is, I'm such a martyr, I'm such a victim. They don't have to play those bullshit games. They are well-balanced. People with healthy narcissism are well-balanced. They are emotionally mature, level, and stable, well-grounded in themselves. Well-grounded in themselves. They understand where they end and another begins. They understand where they end and another begins. They have healthy boundaries. And I think most importantly, they have empathy and compassion. They have a capacity to demonstrate empathy, genuine empathy, not bullshit, manipulative nonsense. Genuine empathy and compassion with boundaries, appropriately, from a solid sense of self. That's the difference between healthy narcissism and pathological narcissism. Now, the reality is, if you are engaged in any way with a pathological narcissist, a malignant narcissist, God forbid, a psychopath, a sociopath. What's critical for you to understand, and this is not about blame or fault. This is not your fault. If this is the reality, you were programmed that way long before you had a say in the matter. So it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. If you're a full-blown adult today, living out painful, maladaptive ways of relating in your relationships, and you are suffering as a result, it is your responsibility. Especially if you have, responsibility for others, such as children, your charges, it is your responsibility. So the thing is if you are enmeshed with, engaged with a pathological narcissist, a malignant narcissist, or worse, anyone who is high on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, you have untreated codependency or you wouldn't be there. You have untreated codependency or you wouldn't be there. And along with that goes underdeveloped narcissism. So we've got healthy narcissism, pathological narcissism. And those of us who are doing the dance, attracted to destructive narcissists, we can blame them all day long. We can take their inventory all year long. We can, stomp and scream and yell and do all the things that we do, manipulate and control and do all the things that we do, allow ourselves to be controlled, all the insanity, all we want, but that doesn't get us anywhere except more suffering. Sooner or later, when we get sick and tired of the pain, we got to take a step back and go like, what the hell is wrong with me that I'm doing this? What the hell is wrong with me that I keep putting my hand up for this? And the reality is, like I said, it's not your fault. If you're doing this, it's because you were programmed that way long before you had a shot, but long before you had a say in the matter. But it is your responsibility to do something about it today. And your untreated codependency is the reason you are involved in these dynamics. And hand in hand with that goes underdeveloped narcissism. So that doesn't make you a destructive narcissist. That doesn't make you a full-blown destructive narcissist. But if you are an untreated codependent, you will have underdeveloped narcissism, which, as your codependency is left untreated and progresses through the continuum, through the spectrum, your underdeveloped narcissism, your narcissistic traits will get worse. Doesn't make you a destructive narcissist, but it makes you attracted to these people, attractive to these people. It draws you to these people like a moth to flame. And let's face it, it is no fun to be going through life this way. No fun. The solution is taking our focus off of them long enough to put it on us so that we can start treating our untreated codependency. That is the solution. My friends, I embarked on that journey wholeheartedly, fully, completely 13 years ago, and my life began to change. Was it easy? No, it's definitely not easy. It is not easy work. Is it worth it? Abso-fucking-lutely, it's worth it. My entire life is unrecognizable from the inside out all of these years later. And it didn't take 13 years for me to get here, let me tell you, but it gets progressively better as we are on the road, on the path of recovery, dealing with our untreated codependency. When we start treating that stuff, and there's a myriad of ways to do that, free and otherwise, when we start treating that stuff, everything starts to change from the inside out. Everything starts to change from the inside out, and it gets better. If you're interested in knowing about some very powerful solutions in that regard, I have an 8-week program called the Freedom Class. I'd be happy to get on a call with you, give you some information. You can check it out yourself by going to TamieMcoaching.com, TamieMcoaching.com. There's a link at the bottom of the page to book a free strategy call with me. You can PM me, drop me a comment, or just go straight to TamieMcoaching.com and book a free strategy call with me. We can get on a call and talk about some solutions for you. But the reality is, nothing changes if nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And once we embark on the journey of recovery for ourselves, never mind what everybody else is doing. just start doing our own work, everything changes for the better. Everything changes for the better, and it keeps getting better. So there is hope. There is so much hope. I can't tell you how much hope there is. There's so much hope. So I hope and pray for you that one way or another, with or without the Freedom Class, you will start looking into some solutions to start taking care of yourself. And with that, my friends, I have to hop on a call. Hopefully I'm not running late. I haven't paid attention to the time. I'm going to call it a wrap. But again, if I hope you got some value out of this. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, comment, and or share. Once again, my name is Tamie M. I am an empowerment coach for women. I help women break free from painful relationship patterns through a proven 8-week process. Drop me a comment or send me a private message if you'd like some more information on that. And friends, thank you so much for hopping on. I appreciate all of you. And with that, I will leave you with this. Know your value. Know your value and unlock your freedom. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.